Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there. Welcome to New Life Live. Always great to be in the studio with, well, I'm not in the studio. I'm in this studio, but they're in that studio. But we're connected. We see each other, and it's kind of just like being there. Dr. Jim Burns and Dr. Jill Hubbard. How you doing?
Very good. And it is just like being there. You're on a screen, but we still see you. We feel you. We feel your vibe.
Yep, we do. It's good
You
to see
feel
your face, Steve.
my vibe.
That sounds kind of weird, I guess. Maybe creepy.
I don't even feel my vibe. I'm not in touch with my vibe. So that's good to know.
Jim is. He's very in touch with your vibe.
I'm intuitive about Steve.
He is.
Frankly. I've known him too long.
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow is my 28th anniversary. You know, we got married on 3, 4, 5. So it's 18 years. And I won't be here because it's Saturday. So, yeah. Thank you, Misty, for 18 great years of marriage.
Aww.
Well, weren't all, there was that 1 year. I wouldn't say that. Anyway, so we're going to do the parenting seminar with you, Jim, and it's all about adult children. And I'm just wondering, what do you think's a sore spot with the kids, the adult children, and why they maybe want to reject mommy and daddy? What do you think from their perspective?
Well, their perspective is I want freedom and I'm an adult. I may not be acting like an adult, but I want to be an adult, and you're not giving me that freedom or the trust. And so they think that our unsolicited advice is taken as it's going to be taken as criticism. Mm-hmm. And what they hear, even though we don't mean to, but what they hear is, you don't trust me to be all grown up. And and you know, it's a different language. We've never been a parent of an adult child, and they've never been an adult child. So you're going to bump into each other, especially in those first years. But there's good hope, and I think between you, myself, and Jill, we can help some people. The beauty of this incredible seminar is they go into small groups. So then it's not just they're hearing our wonderful wisdom. What they're hearing is what others are doing and how they're working it out, because they're in these small groups, and that just blows my mind. I love how this works out.
Right, they get to share their unique situation and get input.
Sure, they get input. The people I've talked to who've been through it say, I love you guys, but how about that small group? That was what really helped us. You talked, and now we went into that small group.
Right,
and it's amazing that they do that, and it's all done by Zoom. It's amazing. I tell you.
Okay, so you will be in a group. You will have a counselor that has been trained and certified, and you will have some insight you don't have. If you want to join us, it's on April the 1st. Jill's going to be there. I'll be there, Jim, and the number's 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and we would love to have you there. I'm going to go to Kathy from Phoenix, Arizona. Kathy, you're on New Life, and you watch or listen on Sirius XM. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Okay.
I have a question. A while back, my husband has had affairs with other men, and when we hit 15 years of marriage, we did a marriage renewal vow that he said he would be faithful to me. And then just a couple of months ago, he dumped this confession on me that he's still... he's bisexual, and he wants to continue with that, and he wanted to know my thoughts. And I told him that I didn't like the idea of sharing him with anybody else, because then that's not a marriage. And now he's hesitant, almost unwilling to follow up on this chat that he promised me.
Okay, Kathy, what a horrible situation to be in. And we're going to talk about that after this break. And I'm so sorry that this is where you are. It's not uncommon. We will be back right after this.
I've had a weight problem my entire life. I learned to use food as something to comfort myself. Subconsciously, I was hoping for a magic wand.
You can lose weight and keep it off for life, but it involves more than just the latest fad diet or exercise machine. If the underlying emotional, spiritual, and physiological issues aren't addressed, the weight returns.
I had tried various things. I tried 12-step programs. None of those approaches were quite like what I heard at Lose It for Life.
The Lose It for Life online workshop deals with all of these aspects with its intensive, comprehensive, and interactive curriculum. This online workshop features Zoom sessions presented by Steve Arterburn on Saturday, March 18th, plus 4 small group process sessions facilitated by a credentialed New Life Network counselor. And fitness expert Michelle Spadafora will lead exercise sessions. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. We were just discussing the Jesus Revolution film, and we were all kind of a part of that in one way or another.
We are from here, where it happened.
I was there, so
yes,
it really it's pretty amazing. And
was it happening in Ranger, Texas? Steve, is the question.
It was an offshoot of it. It wasn't the Jesus Revolution. It was the cowgirl revolution. They really made a place for themselves when they started riding the bulls versus just doing the barrel racing. All right, we're glad you're with us here today. And Kathy has a really, really hard situation she's dealing with. So I'll turn it over to you, Jill, first, and Jim, and then I'll have some comments.
Well, Kathy, I'm so sorry. This is really painful. And it sounds like, and how long have you been married now? Because you were saying 15 years, but that was a while back.
19 years now.
19 years now.
Yeah, 19.
Okay. So it's sounding to me like your husband, tried to make a commitment to you, but has been unable to keep it. And so I really wonder, what kind of help has he gotten for his sexual acting out and the woundedness that he most likely has from growing up that has led him down this path? Has he done anything?
He won't go to counseling. We've tried that, and he walks out on the sessions.
Oh, okay. He walks out on them. So which tells me either he's really in a kind of a hardened heart place of pushing away, or it's too painful and he's afraid, right? And acting out in this way, I mean, when you make a commitment, right, the vows are forsaking all others, regardless of what sex. It's forsaking all others, and that's the commitment he made to you. So I would be wanting to ask him, what has happened? Tell me about your struggle in that you aren't able to keep this commitment, right? When did you start to realize you can't keep this commitment? What was going on for you? I mean, I would really want to understand and lead in a sense. I mean, you have every right to be angry and mad, but lead with a heart of compassion because you want to get him to open up to you about this.
So my question would be, and then I'll turn over to Jim, why would you stay in a marriage where there's no commitment to you and you would never know what disease or whatever that he might bring home after having sex with someone else, especially having same sex while he's married to you? Why haven't you been more demanding of him? I'm just curious.
Part of it is finances. We're both retired, and I've been looking into resources for moving out, but I've been waiting for him to give me this chat,
Yeah.
but we don't know how to approach him because the one time that I did, when we could have this chat, he got mad at me.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's going to be very angry at anything you do, and I think you need enough support that you're doing the next right thing, no matter what his response would be. Jim, you have a thought there?
Okay.
I'm leaning, Kathy, toward where Steve is going. I think it's so key for you to have a plan in place, present that plan to him, and say, you know, if we can't have a conversation and we can't work toward healing and wholeness, then here's what I'm going to do, and then hold yourself to it. And I understand it's complicated. There's finances, things like that. But, you know, one of the signs of an unhealthy relationship is secrecy. And he's holding a lot of secrets, and that means that you can't have intimacy. Intimacy means connection. And obviously there's physical intimacy issues here, but there's also just connection issues. And as hard as it is, and we get used to sometimes, living a life that is, really compromising even our values and our lifestyle and whatnot. And I get it. It's sometimes it is simpler to be in that relationship, but this is not healthy. And so again, he may walk out of a counseling session, but don't you get a counselor who can help you create that plan. And unfortunately, that plan, you don't go from immediate divorce. You don't go from that day you go divorce. What you do is you make a plan of saying, here's what's going to take place if this doesn't happen, and you do figure out a way to move out. And I know it's complicated. I know.
Well, it's scary.
Retirement's hard.
It's
money.
It's really scary, and
Yes.
so many women stay in a situation because they're scared that they won't have security, they won't be taken care of, and yet that is really not a position to be in.
No,
right?
the thing I had in my mind, Jill, was that sometimes you're walking down a street, and let's pretend you're walking down a street, and somebody takes you with a 2x4 and hits you. You're going to be bloody.
Right.
But this is all on the inside, so she's
Yes.
getting hurt every time she hears the story of him being unfaithful again.
Right.
And
right.
maybe even more so because it is with a man.
Right.
So with that, it's bloody and broken on the inside, but you don't see it.
Well, and if it were women, would you put up with it?
Yeah.
No. And it's a classic example, I think, of a man who has divorced his wife. And you're going to have to fill out the paperwork. And if you're not willing to do that, he'll just rock along here and continue to live this double life. And anytime we are in a position, and this is hard to hear sometimes, Kathy, but you don't ever want to enable evil in your home. Do you see what I'm saying there? That enabling him and giving him a way to do this with no consequence really is kind of supporting.
It tears away at your self-esteem, Kathy.
It does,
and you get beaten down to where you think the lies of the enemy are that you can't survive without this man.
Yeah.
And that's where you get into counseling, you get a support group of women around you, and you start building your confidence and your strength to say, no, this isn't okay to treat me this way. I love you, but unless you're willing to commit, I've got to set some boundaries
And
here.
not only is that right for Kathy, it's also right for him.
It
His only
is.
hope to get some healing in his own life, and he needs healing.
Is to hit up against her boundaries.
Exactly.
Right? He doesn't
Exactly.
get to have a cushy home where you do his laundry
Right.
and make his meals while he goes out and does whatever he wants.
And so if she did have this plan, and let's say she did separate, that could be what could bring him to health and wholeness. And if not, he's going to keep doing it.
I really believe that that's true. That the greatest hope for a marriage like this is you act and you do something that he might be thinking you would never do.
Right.
And it might whip him into shape. It'd be like a slap on the face of somebody that's having a panic attack or something. But doing nothing changes, and I don't want that for you.
No.
Let me send you a copy of Worthy of Her Trust. I think it will help you see what you would need to see if he would ever be trustworthy again, and I'll get that to you. So sorry for what you're going through. It isn't fair in the least. All right, 1-800-229-3000 to be here, 1-800-NEW-LIFE if you need some help. Let's go here to Jean, St. Louis, Missouri. She listens on the internet. Hi, Jean. How are you today?
Hi. I'm okay, but terrible. And
Okay.
to make it really short, I am a mother of 9 kids, 2 and 40 grandchildren, and so on and so forth.
Wow.
We're in crisis right now with a 6th death in the family, and 2 breaches where we haven't spoken to each other for years, 2 years, and it's all over a misunderstanding. And the great thing about all of my call into you is I saw the Jesus Revolution. A lot of it has to do with I was one of those and that received the Lord and should have been locked up for 6 months, I guess, because I was a crazy fanatic. And that's what my kids think of me, that I just am a crazy person. And I'm being melodramatic here. They're wonderful kids. We love each other. We just don't know how to listen to each other and to communicate. And right now, I know I'm grieving with this daughter's death. And I think what happened is I got excited that God might be creating a miracle. You know, she just happened to rally. Right now, she is still not considered actively dying, but I cannot go see her because of a mandate from the power of attorney that I said something inappropriately. And I think it was just all language and misunderstanding. I've admitted to everything I know to admit that I did wrong, the unpardonable sin. So I just need to know
what was it that, what did you say to her that someone thinks is so horrible?
I don't know because they won't tell me what was said. Or I'm sorry, that's not true. They told me what someone said I said, but it isn't true.
Oh, and what did they say? What did they accuse you of saying that was so damaging?
That they should take the catheter out, and I should let her get up and walk if she wants to. That's pretty drastic.
Yeah.
And I think I would know if I said that.
Yeah.
I don't think I could say.
And were they implying that you thought that she didn't need medical intervention?
Yes, all of the above, and it's just all bizarre. So those aren't the facts that are meaningful to me, because I've admitted to anything and everything that I know to admit. Where do we go from here? She could be dying. She could die while we're talking.
Yeah.
And
yes. Okay. So the question for us would be what?
Just how to just to go from here. What's the next best thing to do with the living immediate family that I have? Okay. My adult children, I should say, because I don't think my grandchildren have any problem with me.
Okay. Well, there's a lot.
Jim, you want to get us started?
Yeah, there's a lot going on, Gene, obviously, and you know, we could talk about each one of the issues that you brought up. But with your daughter, I think it's time not to defend and not to by any means go tit for tat and with the whole family on this one. I would write her a note, and I would write her a love note. She's your daughter, and I would not even bring up any of the stuff. It's on your heart, and it breaks your heart. But I would write her a love note. As if it was the last thing you were going to say to her, and it wouldn't be, going tit for tat. It would be, here's I love you, and all that. Oh, him, excuse me. So I would say, I would write that love note, and I would pray more than you've ever prayed for that situation.
Yeah.
And that's where I'd start. I really would. I wouldn't do the tit for tat, go defensive on it as much as you want to be, right, or anybody would. It's time to, just show her love or show him love.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go overly Christian verbiage.
Yeah, right.
In it.
I
would be more sincere from your heart. They know how you believe,
yes, sure.
Of course, right? So I wouldn't be trying to preach at him.
No, not at all.
And I would also be sure and list 3 things that I love about you the most, and maybe some of my greatest, fondest memories. And you list 1, 2, or 3 memories
Such a good idea.
that you have, and it's just all from your heart. No preaching, no sticking in a verse. You want to connect with her, and then you'll be glad. I think you'll be glad that you did. Nothing that she could resist. We'll be back right after this.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle Workshop can help.
After 7 years, just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
Now the workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, March 3rd through the 5th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
I just can't say enough of what New Life has done for our marriage.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I've been listening to New Life for many years, gone to a few workshops. I want to support a ministry that helps people connect with God and with others and gives them the tools to help transform their lives.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Healing, 100 Days from Freedom from Shame, and 100 Days of Freedom from Anger. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Hello, we are back, and
Sorry,
Steve
I was late.
is here.
Took a little break there. Yeah. Thanks for taking over, Jill.
Sure.
Appreciate that.
I realized it was dead air.
Yeah, it was dead, and but I was not. I was,
Glad
okay.
for that.
So we're back, and we're talking with Jean, and we're just finishing up with Jean. We said, write a great letter, and I was thinking Forgiving Our Fathers and Mothers might be a really great book for her to see what maybe she could say that would foster being forgiven for whatever it is they're holding against her. I'll send that to you, Jean, and really sorry for what's going on there. And, it all began with the Jesus Revolution. Go see it. We had Kevin Downs, one of the producers, on the program, and it's really quite phenomenal. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to Tina, Wheaton, Maryland. And she listens on WAVA. Hello, Tina. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you guys? Thank you so much for taking my call. I try to listen to you guys as much as I can, so thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
I'm going to start with a question.
Okay.
And the question is, how do I stop? checking my husband's phone and his emails and text messages and things, because a couple of years ago, there was an incident that happened where he accidentally sent me a voicemail message from another woman. And he came home, I confronted him with it, and he said he meant to send it, he did mean to send it to someone else, and come to find out it was a coworker of his. And it was thanking her for just spending time with him, for showing him around her place and all of those things. And so I said, are you having an affair with her? And he said, no. He said, no, I'm not. He said, I didn't even go inside. He said, I just went there. I took her something, and I just went there, and she just showed me around. I did not go inside. I said, are you in love with her? Or have you kissed her? Have you hugged her? Whatever. He said, no. He said, I developed this relationship with her because I needed someone to talk to find out how to deal with you. And I will tell you, we were in a really bad place a few years ago, and we were just basically roommates, and we were not talking very much. And so he felt like he needed to go and lean on someone else. And I met this person before, and it was just shocking to me because he told me at one point that, she was just too emotional, that she basically got on his nerves because she was just too emotional. She cried about everything. And so when I found that out, it was just really shocking to me. And so we ended up getting COVID, and we were forced to be in the same room together, and we had to talk about everything that we had swept under the rugs for years. And it was painful, and it was difficult to have those conversations, but it was like the best thing, actually, for us.
Yeah. Okay, Okay, so you want us to tell you how to stop. What evidence has there been since that original time that he might still be secretive? Because every relationship of the opposite sex or, inappropriate same sex, it needs to be known by both people. No secret alliances. Horrible, horrible thing.
Right.
It is a betrayal, I believe, whenever someone seeks out another person.
Well, and this was another woman. Like, he
Right.
didn't go to his guy best friend or his sister, right? Or a therapist. So his choice was really poor, even if he didn't, technically cross the line.
That's right. So, has he done anything since that arouses your suspicion of his faithfulness to you?
Yes. Well, when we were trying to patch things up during that time from the early part of last year, I just really felt, and I really felt it was the Lord telling me to check, because when I first found out about it, I first got the voicemail, I checked everything, and I found all of these things. He had purchased gifts for her. He was having very conversations with her, and I just kept checking. I kept seeing wherever he even told her that she was the love of his life. For her birthday.
Okay. So, what did you require? What did you require of him when you discovered that he had lied to you, he had betrayed you, and he was unfaithful to you? We cannot assume that this wasn't a physical relationship. You don't usually tell somebody you're the love of my life as an adult that's married unless you've been unfaithful to every degree. So what did you require of him then?
Well, I told him, now he claims he did not have sex. He said it wasn't about sex for him. He said he did not have sex with her. He said, I just felt disrespected by you. I didn't feel like you wanted anything to do with me. And so I thought that, and he told me later on at a marriage retreat that we went to that she was basically an addiction for him. He basically had an emotional affair with him. So I told him, I said, this relationship as you know it is over. It's done. And you are not to call, text, buy her another thing. She is not to get you another cup of coffee or bottle of water, nothing. And so he understood that, and he knew how devastated that was, and he has not done. I have checked, and he has not texted. They haven't texted each other. She did call recently, and they called and they talked for about 10 minutes, and I don't know what was said or anything, and I have not confronted him about that. That was just 2 weeks ago.
All right, I'm going to give you some help. I'm going to give you some help after this. May not be pretty, but I think you need some encouragement here. And I'm really glad you called, Tina. You're listening to New Life Live. If you need help, 1-800-NEW-LIFE is the number.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here with Dr. Jim Burns, Dr. Jill Hubbard. We're talking with Tina. And Tina, I think you have to make a demand that goes beyond stopping something. He has to start something he's never done before. Now, there are a lot of options. If he was my husband, I would say, you have a problem. Number one, it's with honesty. And number two, it's with unfaithfulness in our marriage. And I don't think that you can just stop that. You've already said it became an addiction. So we're going to need you. I'm going to need you to get treatment for that addiction. Mm-hmm. Now, I would hope you'd say you have to go to every man's battle. That's the beginning. But let's say you don't want that to be a step. And I can't imagine why you wouldn't. I mean, it's his best chance of pulling out of this. Mm-hmm. But he needs to be going to Sex Addicts Anonymous meetings. He needs to be in a men's group at church, a Bible study, men's group. He needs to be in counseling after he goes to every man's battle. So you're asking him the wrong stuff, or you're believing the wrong stuff. It has nothing to do, you can't trust anything that he says. He's already proven that to you. So what you're going to say to him is, I don't trust anything you say. I have to watch what you're doing. And if you, after all of this, if you're not willing to get the help you need, I don't know why we would even think about staying married. I'm not going to stay married to somebody that's in love with somebody else and lies to me about it and says I won't talk to her again. And then she calls you up on the phone. So that's my take on this. You must demand radical action. Things he has to do. And if he does it, I'm hoping and praying there's transformation. But if he doesn't, then you don't have a marriage there. And you're just kind of playing along with him. Jill, your thoughts?
So, Tina, you've done enough of the research detective work to figure out what the problem is.
Right.
There's no way for you to police him enough and keep him in check to rebuild the security that you need. Right? He's broken the security. He's broken the trust. And so there has to be a paradigm shift inside of him that you start to sense and see over time. But as long as it's just coming from you keeping him in check, you're never going to feel secure. And that's why it's like, what is he willing to do to keep this relationship and to repair things? He's broken this in your relationship. And so great that he's saying, I'm not doing anything anymore. But then again, there's these lingering ties. I mean, he may have to change jobs. He may have to, not interact with her at work. There needs to be some safeguards in place that he's willing to do, because you know what? He realizes he's hurt you and he's willing to go above and beyond. Because at this point, he doesn't get the luxury of being trusted. He has to go above and beyond to prove to you that he's in this marriage.
Jim, your thoughts? I think Jill's nailed it here. I have a big question here at the end for you, but
I'll just
Jim.
simply add that the path to safe physical intimacy, emotional intimacy is always through purity and fidelity. Yes. And so having those boundaries that Jill's talking about is going to help your marriage. And if you don't put those into place, then you're going to be paranoid by checking his stuff all the time. And frankly, he hasn't given you the trust factor. But again, he's going to have to make some decisions that path is his only option for a good marriage with you. And you present that. And if you can't do that, then get a counselor, have the counselor help you, because a counselor can help you with even some of the wording. It's not as emotional to them. So sometimes if you have a third party, you're all three kind of talking about it, again, that counselor can help build those boundaries that you would agree to and that he would have to agree to.
So here's my question, final question. Why haven't you talked to this woman about your desire to save your marriage, her inappropriateness with him? Why wouldn't you just go ahead and talk with her and say, hey, I'm not a concept. I'm not an idea. I'm a real woman here. And you are betraying another woman as well. Is she married? Do you know?
No, she's single. She was married at one point, but she's divorced, and which is one of the things that I got on him about, because I'm like, so many married couples we know.
Right.
And
well,
so
but see,
one of them.
But see, you're arguing about something that's not even an issue, because he didn't want to go to any of those people he could go to. He wanted to have a relationship with this person. So why haven't you talked with her?
I thought about that. I really did, because, and that's the problem, because they work together in the office. They see each other practically every day. And he's telling me, and he's even shown me text messages and things like, look, I have not texted her or whatever, and she texted me about work only, and he showed it to me. And I said, okay, take care of that or whatever, but that's it. And so I just have not. I just have not, because he told me that he had talked to her after the last blow up that I had. And he said, I told her, that you were very upset, that you felt disrespected. And he said, I know. He said, I know how it looks. He said, and I would think the same thing. I would think that you would think that I would have had an affair. He said, I'm telling you, I did not have sex with her. It was all conversational. I felt neglected by you. I didn't have anybody that I felt I needed to talk to, and we have made.
Okay,
so Tina,
Tina,
it was okay. So it's an emotional affair, and maybe you luckily interrupted it midstream. But with the verbiage you're telling us, it would have gone there eventually. So, so okay, it's not great. You didn't have sex, but you turned to another woman. That's the problem.
Exactly. Right.
So if I were you,
and he knows.
if I were you, I would be talking to the person that is involved in destroying the marriage, and then you become a person to her, see? And I would, you have the right to do anything that you want to do because he's betrayed you. But again, the question is he willing to get some help? Mm-hmm. Because stopping is not the goal. Repairing, growing in character, that's the goal. Then you don't have to worry about when is it time for me to no longer look at those texts. Now that would be hard to do. That would be very hard to do.
Yeah.
But I think that's...
I told him that I did not trust him in that area, and it was very difficult because there are a lot of triggers behind all of this. And I have been praying and asking the Lord to just really help me with this because I want to get to a point, and I've told him I want to get to a point where I trust you in this area because he has been showing me, his love for me and all of these things. He's done a lot of things to show me that he is willing.
Good. But he needs to get help. Did you hear that? He needs to get help, Tina, because what he's showing you is stopping and talking. Now, I want to just be personal here for a minute. If my wife had an affair, emotional or just talking, whatever, and every day she got up and went to where that person was, I think I'd be out of my mind. I would demand that she find a different job. Or I would be telling that person, if you ever talk to my wife, and I don't know what I'd do, but I'd be kind of crazy over them being together probably more waking hours than I am. And so I just think you really need to try to be realistic, even though it's hard to think about what it might do to the job, workplace, whatever. It needs to be a radical change here because he has shown nothing that would make you trust him. If he had said, honey, I was wrong. I am willing to do whatever I need to do to fix this thing so it never comes up again, it'd be a different story. And men do that all the time. Once they get caught, they say, okay, I need help. Oh my goodness. And I didn't realize it had gotten that bad. But he's not there. And I hope that you will require some things of him that you haven't so far.
Can we send her worthy of
Yes. I'm going to send you worthy of her trust. You give it, you should look through it, read it, see what it says, and give it to him and say, this is what it requires for me to trust you. And I wouldn't settle for any words or any stop things. It would all be about building character. That's what I'd do. You're listening to New Life Live. Tough situations. This is a tough one. And I just pray that every relationship could be based on brutal honesty, awareness, and sharing of every vulnerable situation that comes up.
We have been estranged off and on for 10 years or more, and he has a lot of grievances and anger and bitterness and hatred toward me.
Our daughter is the problem. She said, I don't want to be in your life right now.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Courageous Parents, Transforming Relationships with Your Adult Sons and Daughters. It's an online workshop with Dr. Jim Burns, Dr. Jill Hubbard, and me. I think it will change the way you see your adult children.
I was never prepared for doing life with my adult children. Some of our kids bumped and violated values that we never dreamed they would, and there's some principles that we can talk about.
With insightful teaching and the guidance of a credentialed New Life counselor, this one-day online workshop, Saturday, April 1st, will provide practical advice and hopeful encouragement for navigating the parent-adult-child relationship. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 Steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here with Dr. Jim Burns and Dr. Jill Hubbard. We love getting to do this. We think it's a great honor, and we hope and pray that you'll tell your friends, hey, how about listening to this because it might be helpful. Maybe you think they need it, and you don't want to tell them they need it, so you just ask them to tune in. This past call reminds me of Psalm 34:14. Turn from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. In my book, The Every Believer's Thought Life, I quote this old preacher named, his last name is Chalmers, and the title of his sermon was The Expulsive Power of a Higher Affection. So he's saying it's not just wanting to stop something. If you really want a powerful way to stop something, you start going toward the higher affection. And John Piper, he was writing about that sermon. He said, you go for a superior pleasure. Now, the problem is when you're into the earthly pleasure, you think that the spiritual pleasure isn't available, or it's even hard for you to imagine being that person again that's going for Jesus, not just for a joyride. So I hope and pray that, like in this case, you're saying to a person, stopping isn't enough, and the power that comes from seeking something better and doing what needs to be done to feel and be in that higher affection, that superior pleasure, that's got power to it, expulsive power. I mean, really, if you're emotionally involved with a woman and you're a man, that's powerful. And you need the power of the Holy Spirit, and you need help from other men and support. You need a routine. You need accountability. All of that to overcome the power that you're leaving behind. And it's a bold move, but you need to do it. Jim, what do you think?
Hey, let me tell you about a hero who actually did exactly what you were just talking about, Steve. His name's Brandon. He was a scholarship to Every Man's Battle. I'm going to read a paragraph that he wrote to New Life. He said, I am so grateful for the opportunity New Life provided me to be here this weekend, talking about Every Man's Battle. This weekend I was able to find acceptance and connection that I have been longing for in all of my life. The men that I met are now brothers, and I look forward to the things we will accomplish together. Love that phrase. This weekend allowed me to experience freedom from my shame in a way that I never expected. It has also reopened the door to my relationship with Jesus Christ, my Savior. Thank you, New Life. So here's Brandon. I mean, he's addicted to porn, and yet what he did was he made the right decision. He brought people around him. He had the courage to even come up, and he got a scholarship from New Life. So someone else paid for him to come. His life's transformed, and my guess is when people like Brandon's lives are transformed, then that means that their family life is transformed. There's hope for their if he has children, there's hope for his children. It's called the transitional generation. We inherit the sins of the previous generation from generation to generation. The Bible says that, and yet we can either recover or we can repeat. And to do that, we need to understand that it's a superior pleasure, and it's the powerful way to go.
And Every Man's Battle, of course, is March 31st. You could be saying those exact same things, or your husband or your boyfriend or your son or your father could be saying those exact same things. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Let's go to Sheila Falls Church, Virginia, WAVA. Hi, Sheila. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Doing all right. Yeah, we're just coming to the end of this program, but we wanted to finish with a really great call. So here you are.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, the other day, there was a woman who called in about her daughter, who she overheard or somehow realized her daughter was using marijuana.
Yeah.
And I think it was Jill who works in addictions. I've worked 30 years in addictions and just retired recently. But I had a comment or possibly some advice for that woman that I think might help her. With my grandchildren who wanted to go to college, I drew up a contract for their educational funds between them and me. In that contract, I told them upon accepting the funds that they agreed to attend the college and maintain a C average grade for their final grading, end of the year. If the grade fell below that, then they would forfeit the following years of any funding by me. And with that, I also said that they could not participate in any usage of opiates or marijuana or any other drugs, or they would forfeit my paying their tuition. And I had this as a financial investment. I explained to them and wrote in the contract that this was a financial investment. I think young 18-year-olds want to be treated like adults. I think sitting down and talking to them sometimes doesn't register. So by putting it into a contract, I had my grandchildren read it. They all went separate times, but I had them read it, and they had to sign it. I had them read it 3 times. I asked them if they understood, and they did. And I actually have shared that with some of the patients who their parents were having trouble, and it worked with them also. I think that's a good way to do it. And my granddaughter, unfortunately, she did stop school after 2 years. I didn't ask why. I just assumed she would know as an adult. She did come back to me and say, I think I'd like to go back to school. And I said, very good. Great. How are you going to do it? You're going to get a loan? And she was horrified. I never asked me for the money because that ended it. She had stopped school. So I think if you carry it out, I think it's hard. It's hard for me, but she does know I love her. My grandson knows I love him. They've never questioned it. We have a close relationship.
Yeah. Well,
it's
that's
wonderful.
I'm almost out of time, but I do want to say that is, that's a great thing, and
you were very clear, and you set the expectations for them to rise to.
Yeah, and so then when they didn't, you stuck with what the expectation was. When I was raising Madeline, I would tell her, if things don't go well, if my direction and consequences don't work, there's a boarding school in Ireland that I'm going to have to send you to. But if you will listen, there are going to be cash prizes for you. Car, education, support, no matter what. And I'm telling you, she's one of the most responsible people. And she has always had money. She's always saved money. And she's never been desperate, ever. And it's just been so great to see that kind of character in a person. But it was kind of a mythical thing, this boarding school in Ireland. But I think it made the point in a humorous way, hey, we're not going to just act like things are okay when they're not. Sheila, I'll send you my wife's one-year Bible for women. Hope you'll like that. Anybody needing help, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Lose It for Life is March 18th. I hope you would join us for that. It's pretty powerful. Now, Jim, Jill, and myself are doing the Courageous Parenting, and that's on April 1st. We would love to have you. It's online. Emotional Freedom, April the 15th. So many people feeling guilty about cheating on their taxes. We're going to help you with that on April the 15th, Emotional Freedom. Restore, June the 10th. And we just had miracle after miracle just happen at the last Restore. And I want to thank Jim for being with us. He's one of our very special guests. We love him. And we have a history together. And we still enjoy each other's company. And Dr. Jill, I've said it before, wisest woman on radio today. And well, not just today, you know what okay. And tomorrow and the day after. If you need help, it's 1-800-NEW-LIFE, same number if you can help us. God bless you. Have a great day today.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.